everyone, welcome to our channel, Hello Christmas Crafts. We are new to YouTube and today's going to be our first video. We hope you really enjoy it, and if you do, we'd appreciate it so much if you'd hit the like and subscribe button, even leave a comment or two. Anyways, this channel is all about creating do-it-yourself fun with little to no money at all. So, on today's episode 1, we are going to build the coolest thing, but honey, will you shut the light off so we can go ahead and show them what it looks like on? This is it, okay? Witch with the pumpkin. Oh, can you see that? I don't know if you all can see that. Or, so you got the witch and the pumpkin, and she's split open, and she's smiling. So, anyway, she does light up. I hope you guys can see it. After we get done building it, we'll show you it again. And also, we might be able to need a different, brighter light for this, but we can show you how to do that. Alright, let's get started with today's build.
Is it recording? Okay, we're recording. Okay, YouTubers. How to get started on this is we just got a cheap pumpkin from Walmart or wherever you find one. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take a paper towel and we're going to take a little grease,
Some shortening.
and we're just going to rub on
Any old shortening will do.
on the outside of this pumpkin all the way around to start with.
He's just rubbing it all over the outside of the pumpkin there. Making it all, it's moisturizing it. You're moisturizing it.
Yeah. Put some grease on here.
You want to get a lot of grease. Not a ton, but a lot, right?
Right. We want to make sure that this will come apart when we're done.
Because this is going to be the mold for the pumpkin. You know, gotta have a mold.
Okay. So now we've got grease all the way around this cheap little plastic pumpkin. Now, we're just going to take a cheap Walmart bag, any old plastic bag.
Grocery bag, Walmart bag, Smith, wherever you may shop.
And we're going to put this pumpkin inside it. A little harder than it looks. The grease wants to stick. You got the scissors.
I do. I have the scissors here, right here.
Just gonna cut this. I can get this to go a little bit flatter.
You guys all like Halloween? We love the holidays. Halloween, Christmas, you name it. Especially Halloween, Christmas, though. They're the funnest to decorate for us anyways. Let us all know if you guys like Halloween, Christmas. What's your favorite holiday?
Okay, we're just gonna put a little tape on here. Make sure this stays down flat.
Pretty. How smooth.
Okay. My wife here's got a bunch of these just shredded up paper. And what she's going to do,
We are using, by the way, a simple Elmer's school glue, if you could see that,
yes,
with just a little bit of water in it.
then just stir it up good.
Yeah.
Then you're just going to take a paintbrush.
Make sure it's not one, if you're an artist, you don't use one of your good brushes.
And then you're just going to take this paintbrush and you're just going to start spreading some glue.
Make sure you get a good amount. I mean, not too, you don't need to run it
Then
down
you can
it,
do
right?
just strip by strip so you don't get ahead of yourself. Then you're just going to take a piece of paper and you're going to put some glue on the paper.
You do that till it's saturated, or just how long?
Just get a coat on it. It won't saturate through the paper, but just make sure you get every spot so it sticks better.
And on your paper, we use this brown paper, but you can use newspaper, right? Or
Yes.
anything like that. It just, you don't want something like too
Noth-
thin, like toilet paper.
Yes, nothing with wax on it because the glue won't stick.
Yes, nothing with wax.
Then you're just going to take your paper. You're going to put a strip on your pumpkin. Just like so.
And then what? You have
And
to,
this takes a little bit of practice because a lot of times it doesn't want to stick really well to this plastic bag. But it does work. This
then
is
you
how
go
we
over it.
created that pumpkin.
do you go over it with the glue again, or how do you?
Yes. And then sometimes I'll take a little glue and I'll rub over the outside too. But usually I rub the glue on the outside when I go to put the next piece because you want to overlap your paper a little over the paper you already got on there. Another part onto the pumpkin that you haven't finished yet.
Oh, okay. Who do I get to do
Yeah.
it?
So I'm going to put this little piece. I'm going to pass this to my wife right now. This is all she's going to be doing.
That's because he built the original project, and I don't want the. I'm not quite ready for Mr. Scully here.
Okay, so I'm slapping this piece of paper from the old plastic and a little bit over on the paper we already have on there. So I have something to stick to. But we better get that a little better than that. So remember, it's just a cheap plastic pumpkin with just a plastic bag over it. Shortening. Do some shredded paper, newspaper, whatever paper you can find.
No wax.
Take your Elmer's glue with a little bit of water, stir it up, put the glue on the plastic bag, and then put the glue on your paper, and then put it down, and then for your next piece, you just make sure it overlaps a little bit. And you just keep doing this till it's all the way around, including the bottom. So, I'm going to pass this off to my wife, let her finish doing what I was just showing you, and I'm going to show you the next step of how we built the skull.
Oh, on this, do I go over the top part here?
No,
No, just
not
leave
on this
that
build. On this build, you leave the top open.
Open. Okay. Okay. Well, I will begin this then.
So, I just took a skull. This one's a little fancier. It lights up, it does stuff, but you just need a skull. If you have your own skull laying around the house, it doesn't have to be this particular one. It could be a foam skull. It depends on how big you want it. This is the one that I used to create the pumpkin that you've seen. So, give me a second. I gotta grab something and I'll show you the next step of how we built the skull.
While he's doing that, I'm just over here overlapping my paper with my glue and a little bit of water mixed together. And he is going to show you the next step on that.
Okay, the next step Just get you some aluminum foil. It doesn't have to be real expensive, just aluminum foil. What we're going to do is we're going to tear off a piece, and we're going to take this tinfoil and we're going to mold it around your skull. Just kind of work it kind of in all the grooves now, so you can see where the eyes and everything are. So this takes a minute, so just take your time. Okay, it's still recording.
That's okay. You can just stop it now. Well, until you're done with that.
We'll be right back. We recording? Okay. So as you can see, we have a cheap plastic pumpkin just wrapped with paper and glue, and this is how yours should look.
Are we going to dry it, or how are we going to make it dry faster?
So the next step, because I'm impatient, you could let this dry naturally, but my wife's going to take a heat gun and just go over this and dry this glue and paper.
Or you can use a hair dryer.
Or you could use a hair dryer.
Because a heat gun, you know, they're a little dangerous, so you got to be careful with those. But I mean, hair dryer works good too if you have a good hair dryer. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use the heat gun over here. I'm sure you all know how to use it if you have one.
Just a heat gun.
And you want to make sure it's on a metal
In a metal tray.
Yeah.
Because it gets hot.
Yeah.
So while my wife's doing that, I'll show you the next step on the skull.
Okay, and I'll take that over here. Thank you.
Okay. Back to the skull. Just a simple skull. You put the tinfoil over. This is what you should have. And as you can see, I put some tape on mine to hold certain spots together. The next step, you get you an X-Acto knife, and very, very gently and carefully, you're going to cut this skull right down the middle, all the way around. As you can see, I got this one mostly cut. Then you can gently and carefully take your time and get this tinfoil off of the skull without messing up the shape.
Oh, so you're like splitting it in two.
Yes, you're cutting it exactly in half.
Okay.
Be very careful with this because all it is just a little piece of aluminum foil.
I guess you wouldn't be able to use scissors or anything like that because you'd have to be able to get underneath it and it might bend it, right?
Right. But if that works for you, you can do that and it works for you. Awesome.
Yeah, I could.
Okay, so I'm just working around the skull.
So it's kind of an intricate process, slow going. slow going process, huh?
Yes. There's no need to rush this. Just take your time.
Yeah, we wouldn't film you watching all that part, but you kind of need to see how careful you have to be to take it apart. I know you guys can't see me, but you guys all have pets. We have 3 dogs. 3 babies. So yes, we're proud parents of three female dogs. Love them to death. Let us all know in the comments if you guys have pets, animals, birds. We love animals.
Okay. As you can see, this is just a tin foil skull cut in 2. Let me find the right way, then I'll show you guys. Just tin foil. What you're gonna do after you get this far is you're gonna carefully push it together. Start at the top and just put a bead of hot glue. Give it a second, move it down, and just keep forming until the skull is all together. Remember, this is what we start with, just a simple skull. Like I said, this is a more expensive one, but you don't need this. You can just get a foam skull from Walmart, or if you already have one laying around.
Alright, I'm done heat.
So what I'm going to do is have my wife come talk to you for a second, and I'm just going to go over where my heat gun is. I'm just going to put some dabs of glue around this, and then when I get back, I'll show you what I did.
Alright, you want to switch me spots? Yep. Alright. So, now I am going to paper mache over the top of this. Your pumpkin. So after it's all dry, and y'all, you can, you guys can use, a hair dryer to dry it too. It really would work probably just about as good. And because this is such a, you only do 1 coat of the paper and the glue to make sure it sticks. So see, there's my inside, but you only do 1 layer of the paper, so it doesn't really take that long to dry. So a hair dryer really would work just about as good as a heat gun. Or unless, of course, you guys want to let it dry overnight. So my next step is, let me throw that pillow over there, is let me take off my ring is my next step. I don't think I need ring glue in that. Okay, so I am going to just do a really light skim to begin of paper mache over the top. And if you guys need the recipe for paper mache, the ultimate paper mache, I think her name's Joni. Correct me if I'm wrong if you guys know. But, because I forgot. But she does awesome paper mache recipe. And I will try to link that into the description for you guys. But yeah, see, I'm just doing a light skim with a butter knife. And I'm just lightly skimming over the top of the pumpkin so that it makes it, nice and kind of smooth. You want it kind of smooth. Of course, I guess it really doesn't matter because I can show you how to put on, if you want the little, the little veins or lines or whatever they're called in the pumpkin, you can always make those. So it's kind of up to your preference. I can show you how to do those also as we're going along here. But for the first coat, just do a real thin smooth coat with your paper mache recipe. And you guys, she makes all kinds of cute animals over there. We watch her all the time. Definitely subscribe to her channel if you like paper mache techniques. And this channel of ours is going to be a lot of paper macheing. So, and you know, it doesn't take very many ingredients. So it's definitely, but hers is definitely the best we've found. We've tried it with other stuff, and yeah, it just falls apart. Hers is great. So I want to give her, even though, you know, she doesn't, we're not linked or anything yet. I mean, I'd love to hear some feedback of hers for us, I mean. But she's awesome. She does amazing animals, giraffes, elephants, all kinds of stuff. She just does some neat things. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm just skimming over with the paper mache, the butter knife, and just a nice thin smooth coat. And why a thin coat is because you want to be able to dry in between each layer. And it's just a lot faster to dry it that way. You can see how it's just gliding right on there. I think Halloween's definitely both of our favorite holidays. And then of course Christmas.
And Christmas.
Definitely Christmas. Oh, and I can't wait to be able to show you some of the things we're going to build for Christmas. So fun. And with prices of everything rising, I should say, this is a great way to do stuff on a budget, and you don't need a lot of stuff to do it with. And I personally love how some of this stuff turns out. It just makes it a lot of fun too. And the thing about them is they're all different. Everything you build's different. None of it's going to be the exact same. You can build like this, one thing twice, and it's not going to be the same. So, I mean, it will be, but it'll have its own characteristic and stuff, you know what I mean. I'm just going to keep going over this with my butter knife to make sure that I have a good, even, smooth coat. I mean, you don't want it. You want a thin layer, but you don't want it too thin where, you know, like where there's big bald spots. But you just want a nice, even, thin layer across the whole thing. And of course, if you accidentally do that, you can always dry it and put another coat. So that's the neat thing about this stuff. Okay, we're back. So, in this part, I wanted to show you this is just about completely dry. It is best to have it all the way dry, but this will also work. It's dry enough that it's not sticking to me. So what we're going to do here is just give it another coat of the paper mache right over the top of it. This will be the last coat you give it. So as far as smoothness or whatever you would like, this is where you'll want to do that, because once this is dry, that is going to be your basic texture of your pumpkin. So if you want it to be more like have warts or something, you can always, well, you can come back and I'll show you what to do with clay for that. But as far as texture, the basic texture, this will be your final coat of the paper mache. So we're just going over it again for the final coat. And then we will dry this, and then we'll move on to the next step. And this actually to me is really, I don't know, it's rewarding. It's kind of like frosting a cake in a lot of ways. So, you know, and you can also use like a cake spreader. I have one of those actually. If you wanted to use that or whatever works easiest for you, you can use a rubber spatula, just whatever works easier. If you want to do like, say for instance, you want to put like a big dip in it and you want it to be, I don't know, maybe you're going to make your eyes like that. See, so when you turn it upside down, you're going to have that for your eye. You can do that with this texture too, this coat. See? Maybe we'll just go ahead and do that for these eyes since we're going to do something just a little different than the original, right? Can't everything be the same? So once I get back around to this side, we'll go ahead and put the other eye on. But we're going to just go ahead for that eye. You don't have to have clay for this, is my point. You don't have to have clay, which is what I was going to use, and I will, but we will still be using some of the clay. But for this part, you can just also use the paper mache product. You don't have to use clay. So just go over this until we get to the other side of it, and then we'll go ahead and indent that next eye. Oop, I just put my hands in it. I don't know if, see, I told you guys I was a little messy. Sorry, I've had a cold for a while now, and I've been to the doctor and don't have the virus, but I'm at the tail end, so I just sound a little plugged up in my head. So anyway, so yeah, we're just smoothing back over it. Using the bottom to kind of help me turn it. You know, it would be handy to have, I should have put it on like a, well, I guess you really couldn't. A cookie sheet, I was going to say, and turn it, or a turntable, cake spinner. That would be handy, but you still kind of have to hold it because you got to do the bottom of it anyway. So, okay, I'm doing the very bottom now. See if you can see that very bottom. Let me see if I get my hand to turn the right way. Flip it. There we go. See the bottom? That's what I'm working on right now. I'm just going to put a coat over that also. This just helps make it a little stronger, so when you cut it apart, you want it to be strong enough that it's going to stay together. Do that other eye. I'm doing them upside down, so that's okay. We can do that. Put a little bit more of a goober there. This just kind of gives you an idea, like if you wanted to form yours out of the paper mache, you can. It's just a little bit more working with it to get used to it, but you can do it. You can even add like a couple of little squiggly lines off the eyes, maybe a couple little wrinkles or whatever's in there. just kind of pat that down for a little extra, just depending on what you, kind of what you want to do, really. We're going to go ahead and do that. So, come up on it, flatten it. Just don't want any major pokies as far as the paper mache goes. Make this little wrinkle here kind of match that one on the other side. It don't have to be exact because it's Halloween. So, spooky season. We're just going to kind of go back up with the rest. Because I do want this, and you could even go the other way. If you don't want your pumpkin to come straight, you can go the opposite direction. You could go like that. But depends on what you like. Anyway, just make it how you want. Okay, I'm done with that. I've got his eyes. I don't know if I can tip it to show you yet, but I'll try. So, I'm going to have to kind of show you this way. So there's his eyes, how I made him like that. And so when we cut it, we're going to just cut straight down the center of it after it's dry. But you can see how I made the eyes without painting them. I mean, I'm going to paint it also. We're going to go ahead and do that, but just to show you that you can do it without using clay. You can make a lot of different things out of paper mache, a lot of different, and you don't need to be a pro at it, because believe me, I'm no pro at it. So if I can do it, you can definitely do it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and let this dry, and I will let my husband show you what is the next step as far as the skull goes, and I'll see y'all in a minute.
Okay, so we're back. This is what you should end up with. You want to leave an opening in the bottom to make sure you have a place to put your candle. So, we went from the skull to the tin foil, over the skull, to this. Now, I like a candle on the back of mine. You can make a candle out of just cardboard tubing and put in the back, or like my wife says, maybe you could just buy a candle, Family Dollar or something you want to put in the back. But I like to make them. So I just take some thin plastic, which comes in all sorts of little boxes like this, and just heat it with the blow dryer, and then just bend it around and just hot glue it. This will end up in the back of this when we get ready to cut that out, but we're not quite there yet. Our next step will be the funner step. This is where we're going to take and decide how we want the nose, and maybe the chin or eyebrows, or however you want to do your witch. For this one, I'm obviously going to do a little different than the first one, just to show you guys some different ideas. So, you're going to need your trusty Great Value aluminum foil back. Neat thing about aluminum foil is you can bend it into any shape you want. Then you can take, hold on a second, I lost my cardboard. Just some simple cardboard. These are Tostitas crackers, but it's thin, easy to use cardboard. What we're going to do with this cardboard is we're going to give this skeleton a nose. Then just cut your cardboard down to where it fits your nose. Okay. Take your cardboard, you can put it here. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap aluminum foil around this piece of cardboard, shape our nose. Then when we get the shape we want, we're going to take this piece of cardboard and we're going to go hot glue it onto the skull. So I'm just figuring out my shapes. Give me a minute here. See if you want to give her a pretty nose or a real ugly nose. Maybe we'll give her a really big nose. Then you shape your cardboard to what you, or your aluminum foil to what you like.
Really, really fun to work with. A little messy, but you know, if you're not making a mess, you're not having fun. That's my opinion anyway. You know, my husband and I beg to differ there, but yeah, I'm the messy one for sure. I always clean it up. I'm just messy. Usually when this is the cleanest I've been. So just so you know, yeah, I'm usually the messy one. I'm not someone that has, like, I'll do something cooking or whatever. Whatever I do, I always tend to make kind of a little bit of a mess. I'm really lucky because my husband will come right back and help me out, even though he didn't do it. So. Okay, we're getting to the end of this part here. Let's see. Right to the end. See, I'm just going right along the bottom too. I've got my hand inside the pumpkin. See, I got a little bit of a bare spot there, so just come back and give it a little thin coat. I'm just going to make sure it's smoothed down good. And when you dry this, it kind of smooths most of the bumps out on its own. If you've got it pretty smooth, the rest of it will it'll just kind of bubble itself out like bake. And at least with the heat gun. I'm not sure with the hair dryer, but I don't see why not. But anyway, you just want to smooth coat. And you know what? If yours is bumpier, so what? It's just your own character. It's your project, so you can do what you want. At least that's what I think. You want yours, maybe you want yours bumpier. Alright, I am done almost. One more. I don't want to forget that part. Are you ready for yours?
Yes, I'll show you the next step.
Okay. Alright guys, I am going to go dry this and I will come back to you as soon as I get done heat drying this. Alright. Here you go. You can show them that. Move that over out of the way.
Okay, I'm back. It took a minute. The heat gun wasn't turned on. I let it heat up.
Oh, the glue gun wasn't on?
The glue gun. As you can see, I took that simple skull that I showed you out of tinfoil, just pushed it together. Didn't frame. Now you got a lightweight aluminum skull. Now this next part's a little tricky. What we're going to do is we're going to take our paper mache, which my wife was just using, and we're going to slowly put little light coats all over this whole skull. Then we're going to take it over and we're going to use the heat gun, and we're going to dry this first coat, and then we'll come back and we'll put a second coat. I've realized 2 coats works perfect. Everything we've built, we've used 2 coats, and everything is just rock hard and lightweight.
The same paper
I
mache.
better cut off a couple of these goobers. If you get goobers, just cut them off. Okay. So I'll show you real quick how we go about this.
Same paper mache I did?
I'm using the same mud that my wife just used on the pumpkin. You're just going to put light coats over it, and be careful.
Oh, you can go right over tinfoil.
You can go right over the tin foil. Just be careful when you're doing this, because remember, this skull is just aluminum foil, so if you push hard, you squish it in. So just carefully skim you some mud. And I usually do about top half, top quarter. Dry it a little bit, I've realized, because then you can flip it over and hold it in your hand and it ain't sticking to you, and then you can keep going down the rest of the skull. So this is just the fun part, just putting mud on.
Yes, time consuming but fun.
But it's fun time. When it's all done, it's just awesome, and you guys will see that when you build one.
Oh yeah, we have bigger builds in mind. It's gonna be so fun. Spooky.
Just keep going over it, and just think, you're building this out of simple paper mache and aluminum foil.
That's what I think is the cool part.
Yes, it doesn't cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
You can have fun
Like the kids
Halloween
can even help
decoration.
paper mache.
Yes,
Not maybe
and
not
your
with
kids could help paper mache,
not with the drawing if you're going to try to fast.
or even just help you paint, because you definitely wouldn't want them using the X-Acto knife.
Yeah, that's true.
But even if you just make it and then after it dries, let them help you paint it.
They'd have fun.
Gives you something to do
Without breaking the bank.
without breaking the bank. That's true.
Especially your
Well, as you can see, I'm just lightly putting a coat over this whole skeleton. Now, I'm not going to bore you with this part.
come back when it's done.
I'll come back when I got it on there and show you the result.
Yeah, and by then I'll be done doing this part too.
That should be a big ugly nose, don't you think? Okay. I'll be right back. I'm going to glue this nose on. Okay. Now you have an ugly nose. Held by the cardboard that's wrapped around aluminum foil and hot glued to your skull. So now, what do we want this witch to have? Should we give her no chin? Should we give her a big chin? I think I'm going to try to make a chin that looks more like a witch's shoe. See if we can't form us something here. See if we can get that a little more defined. Okay. I think we're going to go with that. So this is what my witch's chin is going to look like. And it's the same principle. You gotta wrap it in the foil and hot glue the chin on. Okay. I think that's gonna work for our witch. So the next step, I'm gonna hot glue this chin on. And I'm gonna take this same mud that we used for the skull and the pumpkin, and we're gonna mud this nose and this chin on. So we'll be right back. Okay, give me 1 sec. I'm gonna dry this just a little bit on the mouth so I can finish forming these teeth. Okay. So here's mine. Made some funky teeth and a big nose and a wart. Gave her a big chin. And to do something a little different, I took some hot glue on some parchment paper and made a little clear spider. And we're going to put this spider after we got it painted right here over this eye. That's why I cut off that hole bigger. And hopefully by the time we put our lights through, you'll about notice the spider will light up and the candle that's going to be sticking out the top. So next, we're going to cut a hole for our candle that we made. And then I just strung string lights through it. And you can go to different settings. I think that one's kind of cool. Okay. Then just take your X-Acto knife and figure out where you want to place the hole for the candle. Here. Sometimes this works best if you started with that. And those all times I can take just my scissors, take the end of my scissor and push it through and just twist it around. And we'll just cut it out a little bit more. Sorry, that's our dogs. Okay, just a little bit bigger. Okay, there we go. So just slowly keep working with it until you get a hole big enough in the top of your head that your candle can go through. Okay. So next, I think we'll get some paint and we'll see if we can put some paint on this and bring her to life. And you can paint your witch any color you want. You could have her purple, green, orange. I think we're gonna go with green. Where did I set the paint? I think I used this Limeade by Apple Barrel. That looks like a good witchy color. And I noticed when you're using this paint, if you take some water and put a water and mix it in your paint, dip it and actually put it right in your paint, it makes it a lot looser and it seems to cover over and fill in all the gaps a lot easier than wasting a whole bunch of paint trying to rub thick paint into your witch. So we'll take some water. We're going to mix it with the paint. Let's go for it. On the camera I notice it looks more yellow, but it's a green. This is the fun part. You've done all this work to get this far. Now you get the fun of just paint it whatever colors you want and bring your creation to life. And obviously I should have waited longer for like the eyebrows and stuff to dry, but I'm just trying to give you guys an example real quick of how to make such an easy, simple prop. Doesn't cost a lot of money. you about got her paint, I'm just going to mix up just a little more paint. Finish painting the rest of this. Then I'm going to let this dry for a minute. And we'll be back.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Today, my husband's showing you the witch, so now we're gonna cut this right down the middle of here, right down the center. I know he's cool like that too, but you know, he's got to come apart. That's another thing I forgot to say yesterday is when you are putting your eyes on, make sure you leave enough space to cut it. Don't put your eyes too close together, in other words. Anyway, so today I'm going to go ahead and we're going to use an X-Acto knife, and we're going to just slowly and very carefully go straight down the middle between the two eyes. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to start right here. It's about the center, see? And then I'm just going to slowly, kind of just slowly start to poke some holes a little bit to get it started. So you can kind of see what I'm doing here. It's kind of hard to get started. And it is a lot of patience. It definitely requires a lot of patience doing this. You know, maybe you could use a steak knife for this too, or something like a paring knife if you didn't have an X-Acto knife. It's still time consuming, but if you didn't have an X-Acto knife, it's not like it's going to make it less time. You're still going to have to be as much time. You just want something sharp that you can kind of work away the plaster with, because we got to pop it off this mold. So we're going to go straight down and all the way around, but then we're going to come to the back and do the same thing. And I really, yeah, I did some big boo-boo, so I'll show you that later. It's okay though. We'll make it work. It'll be fine. It's just, like I was telling you about the eyes, see the back? Right here? That's where it's got to come off. So I'm going to have to take this clay off right there, which is no big deal, and cut it, but yeah, I got a little bit too sidetracked with the clay and having too much fun with the clay. Oh, see, I went ahead and built my eyes with the clay. I didn't even, I guess you recognize that. I didn't have that on before. You can paint your eyes on, you can build them with clay. You can do whatever you want. It's your pumpkin. Instead of sitting here and showing you this, I'm going to cut down the strip. I'm going to stop the video, and I'll come back when I have the first half done. Okay? And I will see you in a minute. Okay, so as you can see, I cut a seam, and you can see where I take my clay off. So I learned a couple of things with this. If you do decide to do clay, and you decide to go around the rim like I did, since this was my first time, I would definitely do this after you've already cut the pumpkin in two. You know, regardless of what you're making, because this crumbles. And I just wasn't thinking, I got clay happy. So, anyway, now I've cut it around, all the way around, with the X-Acto knife and the steak knife. Now, I'm going to pop it off the mold by slowly using a butter knife And it's a little tricky at first. So I kind of use both. You have to be really careful, but I kind of sawed, and then I would come back and I would carefully cut, like so. That way it would kind of, get a good cut. And when you feel like you've got it really close, you just go ahead and place your butter knife kind of underneath. See how it's popping up? Like that. And I will see if I can. And then you can also, as you're coming around, see if there's any parts that are still stuck that you need to come back with the X-Acto or whatever tool you're using to recut it. So now I've kind of got this side up. Now I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm just going to kind of come around. See how it just kind of slides underneath? You have to be careful though, but it will come off. It feels like it's not going to at first, but it will eventually, with some, some work and that determination, it will come off. So like, see, I can see how that stuck a little. So I'm just going to come back and do that with the X-Acto. And then I'm going to come back. So I'm not really going to worry about this right now because I'm obviously going to have to come back and fix that. So I'm not so worried about the top rim right now. That's what I was saying. I would definitely do that after, not before. It'll just make your life easier. Unless you're like me and like to learn the hard way. So see how it's coming right up from the bottom there? See how I'm placing that knife, and I can see underneath. This is still just a barely damp, but after we get it apart, we'll take the heat gun and go on the inside and be able to dry it more, because it just always wants to hold that moisture, at the bottom, because, gravity. So anyway, see, and I can see right there where it's stuck, so I'm just gonna do the same thing. Come back with the X-Acto knife and just keep working away at it. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get all this off, and when I come back, I will show you what it's like all apart, and what to do then, and what to do if you were going to just do the simple jack-o'-lantern. So anyway, I'll be back. Okay. We're back. We've got the most important thing, which is a cup of coffee. Happiness is coffee. That's my motto. And we have finished this. I'm showing you. So I dried it. See the edges I put back on there? And I decided to go all the way around. You do not have to do this. It is definitely a lot more time consuming to add this. You could even add it with something else. I don't know, you could maybe do a bead of hot glue and paint it, or whatever, because remember, this pumpkin is going to be split open, like so. So now, we are going to do the fun part, which is painting. We all love to paint. I love to paint and make messes. Okay, so I'm using this pumpkin orange by Apple Barrel, and brown, it's called nutmeg brown. And this is actually from the Dollar Tree. It's called Rich Art. But this is an awesome red. They have awesome Halloween colors. Got the green and that, and the colors they have this year are just amazing. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is and no, I'm not promoting Apple Barrel. I'm just telling you what I like. But I'm going to mix up, because I want this to be a little bit more of a burnt orange, not so pumpkin-y. I mean pumpkin-y, but rotted pumpkin-y. So we're going to add a little bit of orange. I'll show you my tray here. A little bit of, you can't even see it because this is so messy, but that is actually orange. It looks yellow. Okay, but it's not. It's orange. It's pumpkin orange. And then we're going to add a little bit of this Rich Art Red. Whoop, a little drop of that. And I'll show you in a minute. And then this Nutmeg Brown, just a couple of drops, maybe one drop of that. If it'll come out of the bottle. This is always a thing. There we go. Okay. So there's my mixture right here. Okay. I'm just going to take a brush and stir that up until I get the color I want. And that's a little bit, I'm going to add a little more red to that. There's some. Not quite. We're going to need a little more orange and red. Don't want it quite that brown, but it's really close. Really close. See how it started? That bottom color? That's kind of what we're looking for. For mine. You can do any color you want.
I'm going to add your water, so just spread over your pumpkin.
Yes, dear. Okay. So now I'm adding the more orange right here. And that's about the color I want, because I want this pumpkin to look kind of rotted. So what I'm going to do is I did not mix enough paint up for this entire pumpkin. So I'm just going to mix a little more. And a little more brown. This time I'm just going to do one drop, if I can just get one drop out there. And some more red. But that's the color I'm basically mixing.
For your pumpkin. Huh.
Yep. For my pumpkin. This is the color I want for my pumpkin.
Yeah. Because they can paint their pumpkin any color they want.
Right, I said that. They can do it any color they want. I've got to go get a paper towel real quick. You always want to have a paper towel on hand to wipe off your brush or your fingers or whatever. So there we are. Now I've got my color mix. I'm going to go ahead and, I'm not going to be using that brush to paint it with. I want a bigger brush. And I'm going to dip my brush in water so that the paint will spread better. And I'm going to start by painting the biggest part of my pumpkin here. And I always add just a little tiny dish soap, just one little drop of dish soap to the water. For one reason it cleans your brushes better, and another reason is it seems to run the paint smoother. So I'm just going to start, I'm not going to paint the edges yet, I'm just going to go up to them. And I'm going to just paint in between all the big parts. See, so I'm painting like that, and then if you just use a dip of water, and just kind of, I'm not even showing you, and then just kind of do that with your brush, then it'll, see, you can spread that paint further. So a little bit of paint, a little bit of paint goes a long way. You can see how it's coming out. It looks so much different on the camera than it does when you're sitting here. Believe me, it doesn't look that orangish, but it's more of a red orange. Just want to give it one good coat, and I'll come back and do another one. Just go right up to the seams on mine. Like I said, you can do any color you want on your pumpkin or your wedge or whatever you're doing. As far as that goes, you can do whatever you want. This is how I'm doing mine. And it's just fun because every build's different. So even if you make the same thing, it's not going to be the same, or you might find other ideas that you like to do. So Alright, now I've done 2 strips. I'm going to go ahead and finish painting around the eyes and up here, and I'll come back and show you when I get this side done and when I'm to the eyes. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, so we're back, and what I've done is I just went along and painted both sides of the pumpkin 2 coats of the color I showed you that I mixed up. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to make his eyes, the middle of his eyes, and we're going to do them red. So anyway, so that's what I'm going to work on, and I'm going to paint that real quick, but I'm going to show you just one while I paint one of them, but I won't, you don't have to sit through all of it because you obviously don't need to see all that. But I'm just going to take my brush, kind of go right in the center of his eyeballs. And that's how I'm going to paint mine. Just like that. Okay, I'll take the other one and we'll do that one. Because this one we want to make it scarier, so there's that one. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish painting all this up, and I'll be back and show you what it looks like when it's all painted up. Okay, so we're back, and so my husband is painting the inside of the pumpkin. See that? I'll show him real quick. Kind of like for our idea, we're doing kind of like a moldy looking inside. See how that looks kind of mossy and old? So he's painting the insides of the pumpkin that way, and I'm going to work on some more detail. What I did is I kind of went around the whole sides with some red and some brown mixed and just kind of dabbed it with my paintbrush to make it look kind of old and spooky. Anyway, so that's where we're at right now. We'll come back in just a minute after we get this part, whoops, if I don't drop it and break it, all done. And I'm going to add to the eyeballs, to the eyes. I'm not going to, but like I said, you can do yours however you want. But we'll be back in just a minute after we get a little further along.
Okay, we're back. So here's our pumpkin. This is the part my wife did. Give it some fiery eyes. On the inside we're making it look like mold. So when it's together, that's the best way to do this. It'll be split apart with the fiery eyes. And in between time we have our witch here. What we're doing, we're coming back with some browns and watering it down and just making this witch look as old and creepy as the pumpkin so that the two match. When we get this part finished, we're finished painting and getting this to match, we'll assemble it and show you the final product. She's lit up. What we're going to do is we're going to finalize it with some webs and maybe some moss and a couple things, and that'll be the finished product. Then I'll walk you back through step by step real quick and show you once again how we did it in case you missed anything. So when we finalize it,
Sorry our audio was not working. We hope you all enjoyed this wonderful build. We hope that everybody has a creepy Halloween. And thanks for watching. See you next time.